1 2 1 2. Micro on. Welcome then to our live coverage of the entry into the channel, the passage down the famous Les Sables d'Olonne channel of local boy Benjamin Dutreux. I'm joined by Antoine Grenapin, international sailing author and journalist from our redaction team. So
welcome to everyone. Big moment, big time. We know how emotional is it to be here on the chenal, as we say in France. We see there is not lots of people, but as you know, it's a COVID time in France, but the emotion is here for Benjamin Dutreux. For him.
Indeed, yes. The local boy grew up in the Ile de Yeux, just up the coast, and just before we were coming in to set up this emission, we saw all the people of Les Sables d'Olonne. He's a local lad, and they've all turned out to see him.
Yeah, we need to sum up and to say to all the people who hear us that night was short for everyone who loves sailing. Jean Le Cam arrived in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. this morning. So of course people don't sleep a lot in Les Sables d'Olonne, like you, Andy.
They don't indeed, but certainly was worth it to hear Jean Le Cam. And Jean Le Cam talked a lot, Antoine, about Benjamin Dutreux. He's a huge amount of respect for him. He said he's a sailor for the future.
Yeah, of course, Benjamin Dutreux is for Jean, for all the people who love sailing, kind of an example. He is 30 years old. His boat is not one of the last one. We can say it's an old boat, young man and old boat, and an amazing race he made every time on the ahead of the race. Benjamin Dutreux is an example. He shows also that we don't need to have a big budget only to succeed to make that incredible race.
Indeed. His boat was in fact the original Hugo Boss. It was built in Cowes, so there's a certain English connection there. Built as BT and originally as Estrella Dam, then BT for Sebastian Josse, then won the Route de Rome with Roland Jourdan as Viola Environment. Then I remember Alex Thompson took the boat on at the behest largely of Guillermo Altadil, who knew the boat extremely well, he encouraged Alex to take the boat, and that was really the start of Alex's phase of becoming much more consistent, and finished the Transact Jacques Vabre with Guillermo, and that's really where the winning phase, or the strong phase for Alex Thompson, started. Anyway, Antoine.
Yeah,
Benjamin.
Yeah, about the boat, maybe, Andy, it's really interesting to talk about it, because, as you say, that boat make many miles, and that's work at the end. I mean, this is a so good example that when your boat made lots of races, lots of tour around the world, it's good and it's strong to be faced on all the situations they can have.
Indeed, but Benjamin, an extremely talented sailor in his own right. He did the Figaro for 3 or 4 years. He was a top rookie 1 year, finished 5th in 2018.
And it's a project made by young people. He's 30, as you say, but all his team is really young. It's people who don't count hours, not a big budget, but as you say in French, lots of idea. And they make that race together, and we see what he have on his hand. That's little things he get during all the tour around the world. I mean, we forget at the beginning what Benjamin wanted to do. It's to fight for preservation of ocean, and to talk to many schools, and he did it every week. Talk to school about how important is it to take care about the sea. And that's another fight he succeeds. That's what we can see. We see.
So he has the water inside is from the glacier in Chamonix, I believe.
Yeah. And his big fight, his big battle is to talk to young people. How important is it to take care of water? And we know that fight will be really important on the next years, and that's his fight, and he continued to do it with the schools, and knowing that we'll maybe hear him.
So Benjamin just giving his first interviews on board. May be able to pick up a little bit of audio just in a few seconds, but we know that he's extremely happy with his race. Grew up on the Ile de Dieu, and then family moved to Les Sables d'Olonne, went to school there.
Hard for him to speak. He say how amazing the race is, how amazing is the welcome of the people. We know that Vendée Globe is a tough race, really hard, but there is so incredible, so amazing moment. There is plenty of time we enjoy being middle of nature, and have that incredibly welcoming of the people. It's something I will keep. For me, it was really hard. I tried to do my best until the end. I tried to push until the end, to fight. And I know that when you push every time, you doubt, of course. But today I have no regrets. I give everything, and I'm here, and I'm proud of it. We are a bit time difference, but Andy?
Yeah, it's perfect. Gives a little bit of an insight into what he's saying, and here he is. He has his team with them.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, all the people who see you show every day, Andy, know how much important the team is. Of course, they're alone on the boat, but there is a team every time.
That's right. There's only one person goes around the world that is. It's very much a team effort, and this is Benjamin Dutreux saying thanks to his team. And certainly the biggest welcome we've seen, even Jean Le Cam, as last night was not as big a welcome as this. Of course, a Vendéan skipper, and I think the first Vendéan skipper to finish, of course.
Yeah, of course, he's born in the north of France, but after a few years, he joined that region of France before in an island called Île-Dieu, and after he joined Les Sables d'Olonne. It's here he learned how to sail. He's on his town, and he can enjoy it, and that's amazing, Andy, to see. That video every time, and to see that welcome of the people, whatever your position, you have that welcome. In a way, everyone is a winner.
Indeed, that's so true, and it's so nice to see people coming out and welcoming Benjamin back. A big hug for his partner, I think, and
maybe it's time to talk about a bit about his race. Amazing race. Since the beginning, I mean, they show with this kind of boat that they can be on the same rhythm that the foiler.
That's right. And for sure, I mean, they had a great race. They were catching the foilers at time. They were certainly in the match going down the Atlantic. But really, it was a three-way battle for the best top daggerboard boats between Benjamin Dutreux, between Damien Seguin and Jean Le Cam. And they all sailed very close to each other in the Pacific in particular. Remember the big high-pressure system just round about Christmas, or just after Christmas, they were all close together, and they all filmed each other at different stages.
And he were amazing day after day on the South Sea during all December, beginning of January. He was here close to Jean Le Cam and Damien Seguin. Jean Le Cam have few words for him during the press conference yesterday. He says that he's happy to be on that group. We can say that in a way that Benjamin Dutreux is one of the spiritual son of Jean Le Cam, his
Indeed.
same spirit.
Jean was saying last night, in his own inimitable way, but he was saying that really to see the three of them, he said the old guy, the disabled guy and the young guy, all taking the top places in the daggerboard.
And it was, yeah.
And he's so enthusiastic, saying yesterday that he wants to encourage and see smaller teams with smaller budgets coming through and proving that you can still be in the top 10.
That, of course, is something really important for Jean, and that's another thing of Benjamin, is to say that you can have a project to make Vendée Globe without be with a big company, without be with an international company. There is a lot of. I mean, it's important to say that Vendée is a region where there is lots of companies, small ones, but in a way enough to support you to make Vendée Globe, and Benjamin is a really good example of it, and it's a luck to succeed to put on your boat the name of an association and not just the one of factories or companies, and we know how proud he is for that. He's also proud.
Remember on the start pontoon we were together, and the emotions overtook him on the pontoon going down, and he was just doing his last interview, and he just burst into tears, jumped onto his boat with his family, and he was pretty much off the dock straight away. There we can see some of the local sailors out in their cruiser racers.
And that's nice, Andy, to remind how he was few months ago on the departure on the 8th of November. And of course there is that emotion to remind to people. There is that big mix zone, media zone, and after they just go down to the pontoon one by one.
And I think it's that point really, isn't it, where there's no turning back. You know, you've had your preparation, you've had your planning, and you've been in the moment for so long, pushing so hard to get to the start line, and then you're ready to push off. And I think we've seen it before. We saw it with Morgan Lagravière in 2016 race.
Of course, I find back the few words Benjamin said to us a few minutes before to go to his boat in November. He says there is, of course, lots of emotion to think about all the work, to think about the team, all the difficulties we have to go through to arrive here. And it's when he says that last sentences, you were here, Andy, that he cry. When we say that it's an emotional race. We have a good illustration here when we see this face. I'm sure a face that we will see during the next years.
Next 2 years, yeah, indeed. I'm sure he did a pretty good job on the communication side as well, didn't he? He was very forthright, no secrets, happy to communicate all the time. Remember, he had his problem with his J2 in the Pacific and had to go up the mast.
It's values of honesty, good example of what can be a sailor in 2020. He is on the retake of the big name of that race, of the history of Vendée Globe.
So we could be looking at a future winner, do you think, Antoine?
Why not? Why not? We know that all the people like him, Damien Seguin, who be on this kind of boat, they have that wanted to try with others, to try to even to build it, because they have now that knowledge, that so important knowledge to know how a boat need to be prepared to be good in a world race. So why not, Andy?
Indeed. I mean, it was interesting last night when we saw Damien Seguin and Jean Le Cam. Jean Le Cam was talking about this business of whether you can still race with no foils, and Damien Seguin said without Jean's encouragement, he would probably have pushed too hard or gone for too big a budget and maybe not ended up doing the race at all. And Jean said, have a simple, reliable boat and just go for it. And that's what Damien Seguin did. And that's very much what this young man did as well. Just got a boat that he knew could be reliable, had a track record. It was, of course, the Spirit of Yuko before Kojiro Shiraishi's boat, the last race, which unfortunately lost the very top of his mast and had to retire into Cape Town. But the team went and got the boat and brought it back from Japan, in fact. And Benjamin lost his sponsor just at the start of lockdown. And Omiya came in, yeah.
That's another race, because every sailors say to us how hard is it to be here on departure, to be here in Les Sables d'Olonne, and he fight a lot. He don't count his hours, his days on the mouth before the start. There were a time of doubt. There were time to fight. You need to fight for yourself, for your family also, because that takes too much time. You need to be just focused about it, and he succeeds. There is that all the planet who will be with him, and he was with us on the departure, and he's here now, and he's part of all the sailors who succeeded. Maybe a word to the weather, Andy. Is it like so British weather, no?
Not at all. But I mean, I was saying when he was coming in, it tends to, this time of year, you tend to get either bisky storms coming in with rain and wind, or you sometimes, the last race, 2016, 2017, well, it would have been 2017, we had a high pressure system sitting in the Bay of Biscay, and it was like summer for weeks. And a point there also is that 2017, the first 8 boats were in 19 days. And pretty much this time it was nearly 19 hours for the first 8 boats. It was 24, just on 23, 24 hours for the first 8 boats. It's been an incredibly intense period. And I think one of the things that inevitably, Antoine, is that you start to lose the values for each finisher, because there's so many finishers. But it's great to see Benjamin getting this welcome and really making his mark.
Can enjoy it. Little problem on the eye. That's the emotion.
I think it's contact lenses maybe, but...
And it's important to precise all that little moment, all that little steers he have to people, that memory he will keep all his life. And that will be memory that will help him also to fight against, because this kind of people need to be in a boat, need to have project, need to cross ocean. So he will continue, we will see him, and most over, he will keep it, all that little moment on that Friday in Les Sables d'Olonne.
A special moment when he comes in past the Amocas, which have already finished, and it's saluted by the skippers. So many of them will turn out now. We'll see them on their boats or on the pontoon.
That's an amazing picture,
moment.
Yeah. We see the same stuff during the departure, all the team who applause the skippers, and that's exactly the scene we see now. and we call every time about that. The fact that it's a small family, it's a case, and that's a good way to see it.
And the thing is, there's always the solidarity at sea, isn't there, between the skippers? And I think this time enhanced more by the messaging and the WhatsApp groups and everything else. We kind of joke about it, but they go through the same emotions, the same problems, and so it's really nice to be able to share with each other. And we know that's still going on the water just now. We still have skippers out there.
We are kind of brothers, say to us Boris Herman yesterday during the press conference, and that's the spirit between them. Boris, who creates the WhatsApp, where the sailors exchange every time, and of course Benjamin Dutreux did it. And of course, when they are close to another sailors, they talk again, and they share between them first of all that amazing adventure, and after with us. And as you say, Benjamin is one of the sailor who is every time honest, say everything, his feeling, his doubt, his joy, and the more tough time.
But it's nearly over, isn't it? That's an equally emotional point where you realise that in a minute you step off the boat and the voyage is over. The finish line is one thing, and then it's recompression back into the outside world. It's in its own way, it's emotional. There's a Pavia then, the boat of Charlie Dallans. Wonder whether we'll see this young man in a newer foiler next time. Certainly he's earned his spurs on this race.
Of course, we know, Andy, that many sailors since few days, few weeks now think about that time and think also about what will be the future, which race, which project, how to find back that adrenaline they have during all that weeks alone on the sea. And there is race, there is other battle to come, to follow.
There is. A lot of teams going to line up for the ocean race around Europe.
Transat Jacques Vabre also in next autumn. And it's something also for the family. Mom, girlfriends, everyone who live with him.
You live the race, don't they? They all live every moment, all the way through. It's nice to see him throwing his own lines as well, isn't it?
Until the end.
Until the end.
And that's the stuff which is, yeah,
you know, it's,
of course.
A lot of skippers to stand back and let the shore team take over.
Yeah.
And,
Armel Leclerc and François Gabard used to say that one of the hardest part was to see the team arrive on the boat and that you are not...
the world was invaded.
Yeah.
You were no longer in charge of your own world, your own destiny. And there's Yves Auvigné, always the first to meet the skippers, president of the Vendée region. And it's inevitable, you know, you come back into this world from 82 days around the world and you see everybody wearing masks, and it's a sudden reminder of the health situation.
Of course,
Thomas there is Thomas Cordran, his boat captain there, just tying up the Imoca.
And because it's a tradition now, with music, every time no one asks Andy to put the music, but there is music.
I think that's his grandmother, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess. And his grandmother, it was his grandmother's house that he used to go to originally in the year where he started sailing. So she, in essence, is responsible for this whole adventure.
And they were every time really, really close. She was here to welcome him when he arrived on that region. She was here when he go back from the club of sailing, and they had that strong link with them. Vendée Globe is a story of generation, and that continue.
It does, doesn't it? It's just fantastic. And it's what I love about it is that everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts on pond, and it was so lovely to see Pip here at Christmas and see all the pictures of her starting out in her mirror dinghy on the east coast of England, and Benjamin started somewhere as well, and every dream starts somewhere. And this is the conclusion of it for Benjamin Dutreux.
Dream come true for him. Nice time again with champagne. It's crazy how emotion is the same, he's powerful every time, Andy.
You're never tired of watching the finishes, and especially for me, always, I've done a few races now, but it's always great to go at least on the water once and see the tiny, tiny, tiny little speck of a boat appearing over the horizon, and you know that it left from Les Sables d'Olonne 80 days or 90 days or 100 days ago, and usually hasn't stopped anywhere.
And it's something also to leave that pressure, to leave that all the danger. That's one of the first sentences of Louis Burton. We were second to say, I'm happy to be safe. And that's also the feeling you can enjoy right now without thinking about the boat. And that's a relief. I mean, it's a new life started. And it started here in the red carpet ponton.
There we go. So of course the obligatory shot with the Vendée region, big cheeses, les grands fromages to the region. As the first Vendéan skipper back, you would expect nothing less with Monsieur Auvenet. I think the other guy's the mayor, is he? Am I right? Yeah, he's the mayor. He is now.
And for people who follow us in foreign country, it's hard time in France. I mean, both of the two local politicians fight a lot to try to open a bit more the pontoon and the port to the public.
That's right. I mean, it's such a big part of the local economy every 4 years, and of course,
because people don't know how many times Andy like to go to restaurant here.
It's not even true. But I mean, being honest, it's been a tough 3 months for the local economy when this race brings in millions of euros in November or October, November really, and so there was big questions asked before the start whether the race should go ahead, because it has to be also about the input, the income for the local economy. And it's a big part, especially for the politicians like Monsieur Auvenet there, who's feels responsible for his community and the income for them. And if there's no income, then there's people ask, why do the Vendée Globe? And the argument then was very much that it was a symbol of what could be achieved during these times, and an opportunity, because there's not been a lot of live sport going on. And I think you'd have to say, Antoine, that they'd made the right decision to push on and run the race. It's been very tough with not so many people at the start and the finish, and then we can see Benjamin Dutreux doing his first interviews and speaking to the media. But he's a very, very popular lad now. And as I said before, you speak to anyone in the street pretty much in Les Sables d'Olonne or in the shops, and everybody has a moment for him.
We hope that will give a big smile to people, majority of people possible. I hope that the camera will be able to show the emotion, just an incredible time. To remind this kind of time of moment will help to overcome all difficulties we can have. I think to all the people who want to be here, of course the health context don't help for it, but I hope that will give the smile to people. Of course I say in 2021 To the president of Vendée, I say, of course, we don't have a big budget, but we have a small team, we have big wanted, and that's the force of our project. We had that stuff. Yeah. Sorry, we are foreign life, so for sure there is a little time. Amazing Thomas Riant. Him also was really emotional. Really touched when he arrived.
He was, and he just, you know, he's probably the skipper who's kind of missed out most, hasn't he, in a way, because he did such a great race. Lost out a little bit coming across Biscay, but he ended up being overtaken by a few skippers who had the time bonuses or the time reclamations or redress. Let's call it that. It's not a bonus.
You're right. And what was nice is that no one criticized it. Everyone said the race has to be like this, and that helped also to give as much time and space for emotion, because they were all agree at the end.
Absolutely, it was like Louis Burton said. It's at the end of the day, I'm not talking about it again. A human life was saved, or not lost. Let's put it that way. And big moments.
Now is the time to celebrate, to enjoy. He will be back on the field, talk with some media, have his
first dinner.
Yeah. What you would take at his place, Andy?
What would I take in his place? Just about anything. I mean, you know, we're joking, but it's been pretty tough with no restaurants open, nothing open for months and months. And it's, in a way, it's great because you do end up living the rhythm of the race with the skippers. And but it's what do we know that some of the skippers have had when they come back? Usually they're looking for fresh vegetables, fresh fruit.
Big meat for most of them.
Some of them, yeah.
French fries.
Well, Mike Golding was always French fries and a cheese sandwich. And there's a few of them, yeah. Some want a big steak, but mostly it's fresh green vegetables, fresh salads.
And we see how difficult is it for Benjamin to leave the boat, his story, and to say that it's finished. He wants maybe to enjoy a bit more with his family and everyone who were here.
And Jean Le Cam was the same yesterday, wasn't he? He just he was enjoying his glass of wine.
He had good wine in board, so maybe that's a good explanation. But there is stuff you don't show. There is emotions. There is words you keep for yourself.
But these are all guys, I guess, that he grew up with and he's known, and has supported them on the way up in all kinds of big ways and small ways. And now it's lovely to be able to go and say thank you.
And what is nice to see when we think about Benjamin Dutreux, it's to know that it's just a story of wanted. It's a man who wants more than the others. And like every sailors who are in Vendée Globe, they are the people who want the most, and they hear and they go until the end of the dream. Dream is possible. Nothing is impossible in Vendée Globe.
That's right.
Maybe just quick word about the next one. It will be Maxime Sorel, and it's hard for him. We know Andy that condition is hard.
Conditions are hard. It's just trying to outrace a low-pressure system. We know that Armel Tripon slowed down off the Portuguese coast to miss the storm. It's going to cost him an extra 24, maybe 36 hours. Something like that. But the Vendée Globe is so strange, isn't it, in these kind of ironies where, in fact, if you remember Armel Tripon on L'Occitan en Provence, he was pretty much in the same place or in the same area on the way down when he started having these problems. And that's what slowed him down, let the fleet get away from him. He couldn't make up his mind whether he was going back into Gijon or...